So Duke and Amy, so the last time I had the privilege of seeing this young man, he was coming through town at MetLife Stadium with Romeo Santos. And I know you were quite busy with the tour after that. And of course now, since the pandemic, things have changed a little bit. But Jotan, how you been? What's going on?
Been pretty good. Been pretty good ever since that. That was a nice show that I saw you at. And ever since that, I just been, doing a little bit of everything. Sessions, teaching online, kind of readapting and organizing things with the situation. How about you guys?
Duke?
Basically the same thing.
We haven't been touring, and I haven't been modeling.
Okay.
So,
I guess the modeling and the whole thing, you got to do it through social media now, right?
That's right.
How do you like doing that, Jotan? Do you like doing the modeling? You look really good in doing it. I see a lot of good
thank you.
compliments. I see a lot of good compliments. So it seems like, some people who are not familiar with your music or your artistry think the guy's a model. Do you like doing that?
I actually enjoy it. You know what it is? I guess it's with all the clothes that I've been having. I'm like, man, I got to do something with the clothes and kind of have fun with that. But I do enjoy the fashion.
Awesome.
Apart from the music, yeah.
So do you have a separate agent for that?
Actually, I don't. I just do it for fun. I guess when we on tour or just locally at home, I take advantage, and I do have a photographer. And so once in a while, we take the opportunity, when he's available, and I'm actually free and able to put something together. Then I'll take advantage and I'll be like, okay, let's do a photo session.
Nice.
Cool.
Now, do you pick out your own outfits? Do you have a stylist or do you do it yourself?
Sometimes I have sponsors. They send me things myself. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Don't have that luxury yet.
Now, Jotan, it's been a little while, and obviously, for anyone who's familiar with your work, you were living in arenas and stadiums around the world before everything changed in March of 2020. How has that been not being in the large arenas and the large venues that you were just so accustomed to playing? How has it been being back in a studio and maybe at home and doing some small gigs? How have you adjusted to all that?
Definitely different because we had a long stretch for many years in the arenas, the stadiums, the big festival. It's been definitely very different adapting to that. Even though, apart from doing the arenas and the stadiums, I always kind of stay in the groove of doing like some of the club gigs, schools, for theaters, the gospel scene. So it didn't feel like I had lost everything, but it just felt weird not doing it on a regular basis. So it was kind of weird. I was like, okay, are we ever gonna go back to that? So yeah,
that's a big question right there.
Yeah.
And Duke and Amy, I guess let me ask Jotan this. Jotan, for people that aren't familiar, what kind of tours were you doing before the pandemic? Like I remember Romeo had sold out Yankee Stadium 2 nights in a row by himself. I mean, right. Give us an idea, what kind of touring were you doing before this thing happened?
So before the pandemic, you're saying, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we were doing arenas. We were going around in the US doing like the Honda, the Staples Center, those type of, touring shows. But even before that, we was doing like more festivals out in Europe, out in the open. Big fields, soccer stadiums, things like, those type of shows. Wow. So it was different. Yeah, we were doing like big festivals.
What's the biggest crowd?
50,000.
I was going to ask you, what's the biggest crowd you've played for?
So I would say about maybe 85,000 for our show. One of the concerts that we did, Yankee Stadium, we did about almost, I think it was 75,000. But we went to DR and we did 85,000.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And one time we did a festival where they had like 6 different stages, and that was in Nicaragua. and they had an estimate over almost close to 1 million people.
Wow.
It was like a Woodstock, but insane. It was
Wow.
crazy. Yeah,
Wouldn't you guys love
I
to
would see
watch that?
people. Yeah, I would love to actually
I'm like, imagine
to see
all of these
ourselves.
people. Yeah, because nobody must sit. They must be up dancing the entire time.
Totally. No, and even funny, like I would see people when I was getting on stage to do a quick setup. I was seeing people in the trees, hanging the palm trees, hanging down, holding. I was like, "Are they for real?" And I'm here like trying to look, closely. At that time, we didn't have these type of high tech phones, but I did have a phone. I was just taking pictures, and then I was trying to zoom in. I was like, "Is that for real?" And that was insane. That to me
Wow,
was
like
bugged out. Yeah.
swinging from the trees. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Now,
people
Jotan,
everywhere.
you have mastered. I don't know if some of our viewers are aware of exactly what it is, and maybe you could explain it first before you answer the question. But you've mastered playing bachata and the bachata rhythms and so forth, which is not what maybe the typical American drummer might think of in terms of
Right.
a disco beat or something. And
Right.
not only have you mastered that, your technique after Duke and Amy, after I saw Jotan up at MetLife, I thought it was going to be the typical rock, the hands over the head playing gorilla, and I was stunned at how quietly but yet effectively Jotan was playing. So can you talk about bachata? What type of dance is that, and how is it that you play to that dance as opposed to perhaps maybe where people might think, oh, if it's a dance song, it's like a straight 4/4 disco beat, but it's totally different.
Right. So I would say, if you heard salsa music, right, it has a lot of rhythm. It has clave, and there's just so many rhythmic patterns going on. So, people would dance to that rhythm. And bachata is a little bit more laid back. It does have a lot of swing, but it's more guitar and bongo with the guira. So normally that's what makes the people dance is that rhythm when it's going on. So coming from New York City background, playing gospel, hip hop, jazz, I grew up playing all those styles of music, even rock in school. So once I joined the band, it was like, okay, I got to respect their style of music. It's mainly having the people dance, to that rhythm. So I became almost like the cherry on top, the sprinkles, adding the funk, the hip hop, the gospel, the rock. And so I learned to adapt my style with theirs. They would just tell me, look, create on top of this, do your thing. We don't want you to change what you're doing. Just want you to be like an extra flavor, like a seasoning. So then I just started listening to the music and seeing, okay, how can I, add a little bit of, this flavor. They wanted that rough and like funk and pop sound, to create basically, to innovate. So hearing that, I just started to, still not overplay over their music, but kind of be that in and out type of sound that just when you hear the drums, you're like, oh, wow, that was different. But at the same time, not so boring playing throughout the whole entire music. So just, hearing them out and then seeing, okay, learning the culture, even though that music comes from Dominican Republic, but it started out in Puerto Rico where they would play boleros and the guitar players would adapt the style of the bolero from Puerto Rico, and then they would kind of give it a different little twist to it with percussion. So it started out with percussion, but then we added the drums. So it was interesting because hearing their culture, the music, and then adding all these different elements gave it a nice twist, a kick to it.
So if I were going to start my own bachata band, would my fundamental percussion instruments be cowbell, bongo, and conga, or would it be a different or timbale? Like what would be my fundamental
Sure
percussion
so
instruments?
that's a good question. To start, the traditional instruments would be la guira,
Okay.
which we have a separate musician playing. It's a metal instrument where it makes like a raspy, canny sound. it almost sounds like a hi-hat. So you would have that player play la guira, and then you would have a bongo player. Those are the two main percussion instruments.
Okay.
So you would start with those fundamentals, and then from there on, you can be creative. Nowadays, you know, we're fusionizing. So we add congas, we add the drums. Now the drums has been a staple in bachata because it never exists. When I started out with Romeo comes from Aventura, and that's where I started at as well. There was never drums. And there was never like a keyboard player adding a lot of sound effects. It's just throughout the years when I started with Aventura, you know, that gave it that pop, and it changed the whole game basically. But you would definitely have to start at least with the bongos and la guira and the guitar. You're good. You got yourself a band.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Totally. So if you had to compare it to another style of Latin music, which one do you think that it would be closest to?
Interesting. I would say it's almost got like that softness of jazz and the bolero style. It's not too hard. It's not harsh, but it definitely got a lot of swing to the music. I feel like now when I play bachata, I feel like it's bachata, but it's everything now. It's like pop, rock, hip hop. I mean, it's just been so much evolving going on that I feel like we're getting really open with different styles of music and accepting them to come in and kind of creating. But it's not a hard thing like rock. It's more like, I don't know if you ever heard the bachata and it goes, it's got that whole pattern going on. And after that, they just created.
I have to tell you that since I knew that we were interviewing you, I wanted to familiarize myself with bachata. And so I put it on YouTube and I like do my hair to it. And
oh, okay. So that inspired you.
It did. I'm sitting down curling my hair.
It's getting you going.
Listening.
Hopefully. So I see. You see, you got those nice curls. All right.
Look at the curls.
It inspired you. Yeah, it inspired you. It gave you that
definitely,
that twist.
you want to move smooth.
You want to move to the beat.
Definitely.
Now, you know,
cool.
Jotan, when you were around the last time, I remember the last reading about this on the last tour with Romeo Santos. You had a lot of celebrities, different people show up too, right?
Definitely, yes. So it's interesting because in that show that you went to, we had like all the what we call los padres de la bachata. They're like the fathers, the masters of, bachata music, right? So we had all the ones that started this whole thing from more than 20 years ago. And that was an honor to have them come on and do a collaboration with us. But the most interesting thing too, as well, is that throughout these years, we've been having like P. Diddy, we've been having different artists, Usher, and other artists, collaborating in the music and the actual records and the albums. So it's been interesting applying all those styles and just evolving, but at the same time creating with them. So it's been pretty exciting.
It's funny.
career.
It's a very stylistically, it's very different from country, but country music is very much that way. Country music used to be really, boom, ba, boom, ba, and now it's mixing everything together, and as long as there's a little twang to it, it's country,
Yeah, that is so true. And I like that because you're actually getting other people involved that maybe didn't like too much country and now they're liking it because of that twist. Like you're saying, it's just pulling them in. Like now you're hearing like the hip hop with the country sound. And that's like, wow, that's kind of different. Even now you're getting those type of fans liking country more as well. So, which is pretty cool,
I have a quick question for you. I know I saw on your Instagram, do you always drive around in a Mercedes van and play drums?
Well, lately I have been.
Really?
Yeah, because I was in a, it's funny you said that because we were filming a documentary.
Really?
With food, with this amazing producer and director. And so they've been like intertwining the music and the food. And so they've been getting shots of me like kind of jamming on top of the steering wheel and all that. And then my brother he went ahead and bought a Mercedes Benz, and then he was like, brother, you can use this for your studio. I mean, a mobile studio, if you want to put your drums in. I was like, don't tell me that.
That's pretty cool.
So we put it to a test. And so now he's building something crazy. And when that's done, then we're going to film an actual, like, really good video, just kind of like playing on the road while they're driving and making music while someone is actually driving or something, you know? So
very cool.
I just been putting it out there for the fans to be like, what are you doing? Like, what are you up to next?
Right.
You know?
That's great.
Yeah.
So what would you say is your second favorite or expertise style of drumming?
Wow, that's tough. That's a tough question. I love fusion. That's been but fusion with everything. Like I played lots of rock, Brazilian music, gospel. I grew up playing gospel music, but then I also, I guess I had my time where I played a lot of jazz with different artists, and then some rock, and then like Brazilian with different Brazilian artists. So I just love it all. It's tough. I just like the whole thing with creating, just innovating. I would say, but definitely fusion. Even though I don't get to play it a lot in big arenas, but I love playing and creating in the studio. Just a little bit of everything.
When did you?
I would say wherever I can express, you know, that makes me feel like I could definitely open up. You know, what was your question?
I was going to say, when did you get turned on to Canopus drums? I know Ken works with Canopus. I wanted to hear what your interaction, and experience with that is.
Sure. So I would say maybe about 7 years ago, I have a friend, his name is Beto from Beto Bags, USA Beto Cases. So he's like an uncle. I call him Theo. And so each time I would see him at the NAMM show, I would roll with him, just hang out. He was like, hey, I got to show you, some cool drums. I know you're playing these other drums, but you got to hear them. And then he put me onto them on the record. And I was like, man, those drums sound really good. And he was like, yeah, don't worry. I'm going to take you to see them and in person. So when he took me, I was like, yeah, I remember seeing these drums everywhere, like with jazz drummers. And so I would say, like, man, I want to actually sit down and play them. So at the NAMM, they gave me I pulled out my sticks and I just started playing. I kind of put my head down and got into it. And when I looked up, there was just so many people overcrowding the area. I was just, oh shoot, let me stop, and I got out, and then that's how they approached me, like, hey, no, like, it's okay, you didn't have to stop. I was like, oh, I don't want to, because they had the police. Us drummers, we get so into it. It keeps he knows, like, out there, drummers get into it and they want to get them, to stop. So they approached me and I was just like, hey, they were like, look, what would it take for you, to play our drums? I said, whatever it takes to cultivate me, because I'm loving the sound. And it's been like that. Ever since that day that I sat down, it's been nonstop Canopus.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Jotan, I want to ask you, speaking of bachata, do you bachata yourself? It's such a beautiful dance. And what I love about it is whenever you see people do it, it's always a man, or it seems to me as if it's always a man and a woman together. It doesn't seem like it's a dance that maybe where people go out to a club and they'll dance by themselves. But it's such a beautiful dance. Do you do it?
I actually do. I enjoy it. It's a beautiful style of music that wants to, get you into dancing. So I, once in a while, when I can, with family or friends, like you said, bachata started in clubs. And so, now it's in arenas. So you just see the people dancing together while we're playing, and that's pretty cool. But I do get into it, and I do dance bachata once in a while when I have like the opportunity. I'll just be like, if someone's dancing, I'll just, I'll just pull out my hand and we'll go into the swing, But sometimes you see like people, if they don't have a partner in the moment, they'll get so into it and they start dancing on their own. And you just know like the music will get you into it, you know. But
That's
yes.
so cool. It's such a beautiful, it's such a pretty dance to watch people do it, and especially if they know how to do it. It's a very, very pretty dance to watch.
True. And you know what? I'll give you a little tip. You know, mainly you'll take 3 steps, and then you give an accent on one of the steps. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, hop, and then you kind of like just come up on the side, and then 1, 2, 3, hop to the side. So it will be that back and forth. And
I'm
that,
sitting here
you know,
doing it in my chair.
I know, I see.
Now, I guess bachata is like the dance is almost like the music. It does incorporate a little bit of some different moves, some different dances, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, that is true. It has its own style. You go along to the side, you can move forward, back. And then if you know, once you get loose, then you could kind of, you know, throw in some little turns and just kind of express yourself. You move to the beat, flow with it. You know, as long as you're in the stepping, once you understand the stepping, you know, to the side, like 1, 2, 3, hop, 1, 2, 3, hop, you're good. But the man leads it. The man always leads it as like salsa.
Oh,
That's
okay.
awesome.
Amy, I didn't know that. Did you?
I had no idea. Ken, we have to try it together.
Yeah.
That won't be a pretty sight, Jotan, but we'll try it though in private.
I'll take lead.
Yes.
Okay.
We're gonna do reverse bachata. Amy's gonna lead me.
That's cool. Yeah. No, actually, and through Zoom now, like everybody's doing it online, like because they figure, you know, you gotta stay 6 feet, you know, from distance. So that's a little different nowadays. Like, wow, I need my partner to dance. I can't do that, but now we can all practice from where we're at, you know.
There we go.
I guess speaking of things being different, we would be remiss if we didn't ask you. I know that the production with Romeo was over the top. I mean, I recall you telling me. I think it took a week to assemble the stage for him. There was so much equipment and so much going on.
True.
When do you think that acts like Romeo or Aventura are going to be back doing the stadiums again? What are you hearing? What are you feeling?
Wow. My mind is telling me like, let's do it this year, obviously, but in reality, I know I don't. In reality, I don't see it happening anytime soon. Even though a lot of artists are starting to kind of get in the groove of doing some shows for the winter time. I would say, I don't know for November, but realistic, you know, speaking, you know, thinking about it, I would say, I don't know, maybe 2022 to 23. That's the way I see it.
Wow.
That's a long time from now.
Yeah, I don't see it
Wow.
so clearly anymore like that. It's just, you know, I guess people are starting to kind of get ideas and do it. That whole digital streaming now, that, you know, that's in the works and that's in the, you know, talks with different artists. But I don't know. I hope and I pray, God willing, that at least the whole thing could come about at least, you know, sometime this year, or at least just a starting point, you know. Even though I started doing a few like private shows with different DJs and different bands, but even in the club or restaurant, cafe scenes, bar scenes, I haven't. I see it's growing little by little. I feel like it's something I never seen before, actually. But hopefully, maybe 22, I would say, at the middle towards the end.
Crazy.
To start.
Well, hopefully the time passes quickly, like time generally does.
Yeah.
But they're talking about all of this like herd, you know, immunization. So maybe it'll happen sooner for everybody.
That would be nice. I mean, how do you guys see it with your point of view? You know, like things getting back. What do you guys see?
You're probably pretty spot on, but they're talking Broadway coming back September, so of this year, 21. So maybe we'll see some more of you out there again.
That would be nice. Unless we start setting up a stage on a bus and going around the neighborhoods and doing like a bus tour, mobile or something. I was talking to my brother. I was like, we got to do something. We got to create something.
Yeah.
Do you think that the type of show that you do with Romeo Santos or or if you had a group like Aventura, would that work at a smaller venue, like a much smaller venue? I can't see that an act like that playing in front of 5 or 10,000 people. I think that the one thing that I thought about the band was it just, for whatever reason, works with a large audience. I just can't see a show like that in front of 5,000 people. Can you?
It would be insane. We used to. I can't see it doing a small. It would be a private thing, like a showcase. The thing is, like you said, I mean, it's gotten to that level where now it'll be weird going to a club or even a private party doing a show. I mean, it could be done, but it won't be the same. Like you said, it'll be definitely weird. I mean, because we're so used to giving the audience or our fans the best, like a show, not just music, LED screens, like lighting and all this big, like a Broadway show type thing, you know, incorporating that. So imagine like just doing something small. I don't know how the people will react to that. Maybe they'll be excited and crazy. They'll just start dancing. I don't know. But
Yeah.
it'll remind me, I mean, we was to do that. It'll remind me the days where we used to play with Aventura, with Romeo, when we used to do clubs, and the fans, the girls would be like right next to me. And I would tell them, hey, could you please move over just a little bit? I don't want to hit you with my drumstick. And they would be literally right there. And I would tell them, they would be like, no, we're not moving. And I'm like, okay, I guess they're the boys. They don't want to move. They want to be right there in action. So I must imagine like we would to do something like that. I don't think I would have enough space to play. I would have to set up like one snare drum, tom, a cymbal, a hi-hat, something like back in the days, like super simple.
What are Romeo's brothers doing?
So they're all kind of producing, recording, working in the studio, doing their thing. They always stay pretty busy, just, you know, kind of doing their projects. And that's what we're all doing right now. We're all in the studio, just creating, seeing what we can do, just to keep this going. And because we love it too, of course, for the passion first.
Right.
So that's what they're up to. Everybody's doing their thing.
Do you write any music?
I do. I started producing and writing my own lyrics. My mom, she's a gospel artist. So like 2 years ago, I did my first single where I produced it. I sang on it. I wrote the song.
Nice.
Yeah, it's called Escándalo. And so I showed, I did a music video out in Peru. And so that's what I've been getting into, just kind of like doing my own thing on the side, as well as working with everyone, right? How
did you end up filming in Peru?
That was pretty interesting. So I brought my film crew. I was like, I called one of my friends. I was like, hey, I got an idea. I wrote a song. I'm fusionizing their music with some of the Latin pop music that we play in Puerto Rico, which is like reggaeton, urban. And so I was like, the only thing I want you to come down to Peru to film. And he was like, all right, let's do it. And I was just blessed because I met a lot of great people and they started to enjoy the music and the creation. And the fact that I was kind of fusionizing their style of music with mine, it was just, the doors were opening. They were like, oh yeah, no, you should film it here. We'll get you whatever you want. I mean, people just started connecting and seeing the vision. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. So I was like, okay, I like these old fashioned like churches, cathedrals, and it looked kind of like Cuba. So we filmed outside, and I had the support of the town, the locals, and it was just amazing. I had a great support. So I said, let's do it. And, you know, and that's how we filmed it. I brought my friends down, they filmed it, and came back and recorded some things in the US, and then did the whole process here, just finished it here.
Nice.
Wow,
it was
that's
incredible
really cool.
though. A different experience from recording a music video in the States. Here, you need a lot of preparation, you know, with licenses and permits. And over there, it was like, yeah, no, you need a few permits and you need some time, but they made it happen so fast. It was just unreal. I was like, wow, are you guys really making this happen? Because I would think you would need more like time, but I had great support, so
That's
that was
awesome.
pretty cool.
Awesome.
Now, Duke and Amy, I want to ask Jotan this question because we're not going to have too many guests who've done this, but I have to ask you, what is it like, regardless of what instrument you play, when you're doing a show in front of 70, 80,000 people? Do you even notice, or is it just like a wall? You don't even see faces? Because to boot, you're not playing in a trio or a quartet or 4 or 5 people. I think typically with Santos, how many people did you have on stage at any given time?
Wow, it was insane. Like, even especially for that one, we had so many people filming. Apart from the band, was like 13, 14 musicians in the band. But it's like you said, I mean, just looking at everybody, it looked kind of blurred, and it just looked like I would say, like in Spanish, sometimes my father says hormigas. Hormigas is like ants. There's just so many, and they're moving around that you're looking at them, but you get out of whack because you lose sight of them. There's just too many. You don't know which one is green, blue, if they're any color or something. But you lose sight. Yeah, sometimes the fans are yelling and screaming, and when you try to look at one, everybody else is getting your attention, so you lose sight. It's just like there's too many. You can't. It looks spectacular though. It looks like stars. I mean, it looks like raindrops. There's everybody everywhere. Sometimes I still can't believe it. I'm like overwhelmed. You know, I don't, you know how people say don't take it for granted. And each time I go up and I just see everybody, I was just like, wow, how incredible it just looks. You know.
And you also had so much going on stage because I remember Romeo always had a lot of things going. Yeah, he had a lot of things going on. There's a crew. Do you find that as a drummer, regardless of what instrument you're playing, do you find that, was that distracting with you have this huge audience and all this stuff is going on around you on stage? Did you find did that take a while to get used to?
When we started doing those type of arena shows and stadiums and all that festivals, at first it was like, this is crazy, like there's so much going on. I gotta pay attention to the artist. There's people like his bouncers on stage running across, you know, making sure that the fans don't get close to him, and but then musicians playing, and then after a while I did get used to it and I blocked it out. I knew how to have the independence with my eyes, just you know seeing the band. But then most of all, just listening to them. We would stay in touch through our ears. So after a while, it was just, after a while, I could look over and I'll be like, wow, that beach is beautiful. Look, everybody's surfing. And I'm still playing. And we're hitting the brakes and everything. And I'm looking around, people doing funny things. I'm like, wow, there's people like on bars climbing just to see the show from far away. I mean, after a while, it's just like, yeah, like you said, it's just very distracting, but I got used to it.
So awesome.
The people don't see that though. That's the funny part. Them seeing the show, they have no clue that that's happening.
Right, exactly. On the other end. So were you born here in the States, or were you born elsewhere?
Yes, in the Bronx, New York. The boogie
you were born
down.
in the Bronx. Okay. Yes, the boogie down Bronx. That's right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm a New Yorker myself.
Are you? Okay. Jersey, Queens,
I'm from
Brooklyn?
Staten Island.
Oh, Staten Island. Okay, you from the 5 boroughs.
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, he's from the Boogie Down. In case Ken and Duke don't know what the Boogie Down is, that's the Bronx.
What is that? Oh, the Bronx. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, he's certainly been traveling abroad enough. That's for sure.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Jotan, that's where Aventura started, correct?
You're right. Yep. And they're all the guys are from the Bronx. Their families. See, Romeo's parents are half Puerto Rico and half Dominican Republic, and then the rest of the crew, the rest of the other guys, are from Dominican Republic. But like you said, all from New York, the Bronx. Yeah. And it's crazy because.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, no,
I was just saying it was crazy because I remember reading that you guys started off doing like what everyone else was doing, playing weddings, bar mitzvahs, little parties, and this is Aventura.
Yeah, that is crazy. We was doing like little restaurants, festivals, and crazy thing. We all went to the same school, and we didn't know we went to the same school around the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, I was the one playing in the band. I never saw them like in the music department, but later on, we found out like, hey, what school did you go to? Oh, we went to Morris High School in the Bronx. I was like, get out of here. I went to Morris High School. They were like, no way. I was like, yeah, I didn't see you guys. You guys were busy, like, I don't know, maybe
That's
practicing somewhere else, but I was in the band class playing a big band and like other styles of music. But it was cool. Yeah.
That is so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Did you go on to college to do any music, or did you just say like hit it big and say this is it for me? This is what I want to do.
I actually wanted to go to Berklee College of Music or the Collective, but it was so tough at an early age playing professional. I started playing with different bands and artists while I was going to school, junior high school. And I guess right after high school, I was just like, man, I want to go here, there, but I have so many propositions already, like so many artists that I'm already gigging with, and I'm not going to be able to do it. You know, I have to choose either focus on, going to college and maybe at Berklee, or just doing the music, staying in the music full time and hitting it hard.
Right.
And that's what I did. I just do with it. It's crazy though. I have a lot of students that go to Berklee, the Collective, and when I teach, they're like, yeah, I've been going to Berklee. I was like, look at that, man. That's pretty cool. I always wanted to go to Berklee, and you're going. That's cool. So you got to enjoy it for me.
That's great.
Well, Jotan, we can't thank you enough for having you on. And what I absolutely love listening to you talk is that you're right. Everyone, you're so worldly that people are like, where's he from? And what is he? He's right from New York.
Yeah.
What, Amy, what's that called again?
New York.
Boogie Down.
The Boogie Down, Bronx. The Boogie Down. Just ask
He's
J-Lo. She'll
from the
tell
Boogie
you.
Down. He's from the Boogie Down. I didn't even know. Duke, did you know where the Boogie Down is?
No.
Okay, well now we know. So I can't believe it, but no, just thank you so much for a few moments, and I personally would love to see you. I'd love to personally see you back on the road. I pray to God sooner than later.
Yeah.
I really hope
you.
it's
Thank
not going to be
God,
longer than sooner.
Yeah, we pray.
Definitely.
I'm right with you. Thank you for having me.
And
Really,
when you are on the
it's a
road,
pleasure.
we'll come see you.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then you really get an insight. Like you said, like once you're there, like it's a different thing, right? When you hear the CDs or MP3s or even on YouTube, it's cool. But once you're there and you hear the band, it's like something else.
Yes.
It's I know. Tell you that hearing the music and then like on YouTube, but then seeing it live is like something else, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just there's no comparison.
Right.
Live,
no
nothing like
comparison.
live music, right, Ken?
You said it.
Nope. Absolutely.
Man, I can't
Well,
wait for
listen,
that. I can't wait for that. God willing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And Duke, if we do go see Jotan, hopefully he will have that R series, which I was really. That was really some, if I can say, badass kit by Canopus. That R series was something else. That was a beautiful kit.
And how did it sound to you on your? Because us drummers, we're playing. We're like, man, I wish I could be over there just to hear it yourself, right? But good thing there's a drummer. I was like, cool. He's a drummer, so he's enjoying it. He could probably give the specs on how it sounds and all that. Even though it looks sexy, that color, wow.
Yeah, that didn't. I'll say this much: that did not have maybe perhaps the typical Canopus sound. I was quite frankly very surprised.
Did you?
I was very, very surprised at how it sounded amazing, and you were all over that thing like a cheap suit.
Thank
so
you.
good for you.
Look at that.
I gotta ask a quick question, Jotan. How do you what is, if you have one, other than your ear, like
sure,
conceptually, what is the way you tune your toms?
So depending on the style of music, obviously with them, I tune it towards the middle, meaning I'm not very high pitch, but it has a lot of tone. So since we play different styles of music, I jump in and out, do a lot of fills. I keep it where it's almost like fusion, funk, pop, Latin. So a little high. I would say, if we do have a song that requires a different sound, I'll have an extra maybe snare drum and tune it low to get a fatter and deeper sound, and maybe some extra toms in the side to get the bigger boomy sound or drier sound. But I would say I have it in the middle, just because we're, like you said, we're all over the place, playing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So I would say more like a high pitched sound, just to be able to cut in and out. and be heard. My snare drum is tuned pretty high. I do have another snare drum where it's tuned a lot lower, but then I have cowbells and I have some bongos too, and a little bit of everything on my setup.
I got one last drum techie question.
Sure.
What is your secret to your speed? Do you practice on a pillow? Like what's your
I do practice a lot on pillows, on soft surfaces where they don't have too much bounce. But I would say too, practicing pillows with big marching drumsticks.
Okay.
Like the Vic Firth white ones. I for many years I've used those all the time, and just practicing. Yeah, you know, people would tell me, "Oh, you practice a lot on the kit." I definitely do, but for technique, I would walk around with one of my old iPhones. I bought I forgot what it's called, the case that's really thick, and I remember practicing like all the time on my phone. I would just flip it and I would beat the crap out of the phone. And I remember at NAMM, I'm walking around, and then Vinny says to me, he's like, Vinny Colaiuta, he's like, dude, you're literally, you know, banging on your cell phone. I was like, yeah. He's like, is that a pad already made? Because I want to get that. I was like, no, this is my regular cell phone. I forgot what it's called, the outer case, that big
the
giant
Otter
case.
Box.
Otterbox. I told him, he's like, man, I'm gonna see if I go pick one up tomorrow. I was like, yeah, beat the crap out of it. You'll be good. But that's how we'll work on my technique. Definitely with big sticks, and you know, on anything that I can get my hands on. But definitely pillows or something soft on the bed, especially in my hotel room. It would always be there, and I was like, perfect. I got a nice practice set right here.
Right. Awesome. Thank you.
Jotan, awesome stuff. Thank you, pal. And hope to see you back on the road sometime soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Great pleasure.